On September 22nd, 2006, 16-year-old high school student Cassie Jo Stoddart was brutally killed by her classmates Brian Lee Draper and Torey Michael Adamcik in her aunt and uncle's house in Pocatello, Idaho. Stoddart's body was discovered 2 days later when her relatives returned home from their trip. The perpetrators claimed that they were inspired by the slasher film Scream to murder Stoddart, which led them to be nicknamed the Scream Killers. Adamcik and Draper recorded documentary-style videos about how they were horror movie fans, especially Scream, and that they wanted to do the same thing to their high school, and they chose Cassie as their first victim. Both perpetrators received sentences of life imprisonment without parole on August 21st, 2007. After spending most of his childhood in Utah, Brian Draper moved with his family to Pocatello, Idaho. He met Torey Adamcik when they were both students at Pocatello High School. Both boys were interested in films and started recording on their own. The victim, Cassie Jo Stoddart, also attended the same school. She and both killers were in the 11th grade. On the night of September 22, 2006, Stoddart was house sitting for her aunt and uncle Allison and Frank Contreras on Whispering Cliffs Drive in northeast Bannock County. The Contreras family were out of town and had hired Stoddart to come take care of their 3 cats and 2 dogs for the weekend. Stoddart was visited that evening by her boyfriend Matt Beckham, who arrived around 6 p.m. Later, classmates Brian Draper and Torey Adamcik, who were both age 16 at the time, came over to the house to hang out. Stoddart gave the friends a tour of the house, including the basement. The 4 teens then went into the living room to watch the film Kill Bill Volume 2, but Adamcik and Draper ended up leaving before the film ended, saying they wanted to watch a movie at their local movie theatre instead. Stoddart and Beckham stayed behind. Stoddart was unaware that before the boys left, Draper had unlocked the basement door so that he and Adamcik could re-enter the house undetected. Sometime after leaving the house on Whispering Cliffs, Draper and Adamcik returned to the neighborhood, parked down the street, got out of their car and put on costumes consisting of dark clothing, gloves and a white painted mask. The boys quietly entered the house through the basement door while the couple were watching television in the living room. They intentionally made loud noises in an unsuccessful attempt to lure Beckham and Stoddart downstairs so they could scare them. Next, they found the circuit breaker and turned off the power in the house, hoping the pair would come downstairs to check the breaker. When Beckham and Stoddart did not come downstairs, the boys turned some of the lights back on. Stoddart became uneasy after the temporary power outage, and Beckham noticed that one of the Contreras' dog kept staring down the basement stairs, periodically barking and growling. Seeing that Stoddart felt scared, Beckham called his mother to ask if he could stay the night at the house with her to ease her mind. But she denied his request. Instead, she offered to let Stoddart come home with Beckham and stay at their house for the night, and she would bring Stoddart back to Whispering Cliffs' house the next morning. However, Stoddart felt it was her responsibility to stay at the house as she was hired to do and care for the animals, and declined the offer from Beckham's mother. At approximately 10:30 p.m, Beckham's mother picked him up, leaving Stoddart at the house alone. Beckham called Adamcik's cell phone to see where he and Draper were, possibly to meet up with them later. Beckham said he could barely hear Adamcik, who was whispering on the phone, and assumed the boys were in the movie theatre. From the basement, Draper and Adamcik heard Beckham leave. The teens turned the lights out again at the circuit breaker and waited, hoping Stoddart would come downstairs to turn the lights back on. She did not. Eventually, the boys went upstairs. Draper was armed with a dagger-type weapon and Adamcik had a hunting knife, the weapons having been purchased at a pawn shop. Draper opened and slammed the closet door at the top of the stairs to scare Stoddart, who was lying on the couch in the living room. The boys then brutally attacked her, stabbing her approximately 30 times. 12 wounds were potentially fatal. During the investigation of the murder, police found that Draper and Adamcik had recorded their plan to murder Stoddart in advance and on videotape while they were at school. This video footage was shown at their trials. Draper and Adamcik were arrested on the 27th of September 2006 and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. During the interrogations, each teen blamed the other. Draper claimed he was in the same room with Adamcik when Stoddart was killed, but denied stabbing her, then later admitted to stabbing her under alleged commands from Adamcik. He led investigators to Black Rock Canyon, where the teens had disposed of the clothing, mask and weapons they had used for the murder. At the trial, the prosecution revealed that Draper had said he was inspired by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, who committed the Columbine School Massacre. For more on them, check out Real Monsters on our Patreon. Later, Adamcik was said to have been inspired by the Scream horror film franchise. Again, more on that on our Patreon. Draper was convicted on April 17, 2007. Adamcik was convicted on June 8, 2007. On August 21, 2007, based on being convicted of first-degree murder, each received a mandatory sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, and 30 years to life for being convicted of conspiracy to commit murder. Adamcik and Draper are both serving their time in Idaho State Correctional Institution, located in unincorporated Ada County, Idaho, near Kuna. In November 2019, Adamcik's sentence was upheld after his appeal was denied by the Idaho Supreme Court. The convicted men's attorney filed separate appeals at the Idaho Supreme Court in September 2010 for Adamcik and in April 2011 for Draper. Draper was seeking to have his conviction vacated or to be given a limited life sentence that would allow him for release on parole if approved after 30 years. The first appeal for both Adamcik and Draper was denied in a 3-2 decision. The first court vacated Draper's conviction on conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, saying the jurors were given erroneous instructions on the charge, but they affirmed his conviction for first-degree murder and life sentence without parole. On July 2015, Adamcik gained a hearing for a post-conviction relief with State 6th District Magistrate Judge Mitchell W. Brown. He claimed that testimony from character witnesses could have changed the outcome of the sentencing, but that his former attorney, against his parents' wishes, chose not to call up these witnesses. Adamcik said that his attorney believed that the prosecution would have submitted even more damaging evidence. In March 2016, Judge Brown denied his request for post-conviction relief. Adamcik appealed Judge Brown's decision to the Idaho Supreme Court, which on December 26, 2017 rejected Adamcik's appeal for post-conviction relief and upheld the district court's decision. Adamcik is currently appealing Judge Dale's decision to the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals, with oral arguments taking place on February 7, 2022, with Jay Bybee, Morgan Christian and James Salinas sitting by designation presiding. On March 24, 2022, they upheld the sentence in an unpublished decision. In 2010, the Stoddart family filed a civil lawsuit against the Pocatello School District, claiming that school authorities were negligent and should have known that Draper and Adamcik posed a threat to others. Both the civil court and the Idaho Supreme Court dismissed the case, saying the actions of the killers were not foreseeable.
If you like that, then listen to our main show every Wednesday on all good podcast providers. It's Alive, the really fake true crime horror podcast. All the guts and gore, none of the guilt. See you on Wednesdays.